guys, my name is Maddie. I am an educator here at the Emerald Coast Science Center. Today I'm going to be taking out two of our really cool creatures we have here at the center. Both are reptiles. So first, starting off, I'm going to be taking out one of our bearded dragons. So this is Nye, our bearded dragon. Nye is named after Bill Nye, the science guy. Funny enough though, Nye is a female. So there's many ways you can tell that they are a male or female. One of the key factors with Nye that we know she is a female is that she's actually laid eggs. So not all bearded dragons will lay. Once they hit maturity around about a year old, they can start to lay. They will lay about once or twice a year, and this is how they will look. So since Nye does not have a mate, they are not fertile, they are infertile. She can still lay them, and they just don't develop over time. A fun fact about the eggs is that if you actually incubate them in captivity at a very high heat, they will actually turn out to be female, which is really, really interesting. Another way you can tell that if it's a male or a female is they have these things called hemipenal bulges. With females, a way you can tell is once they've hit maturity, once they're babies, you can't really tell. If you lift the tail, you'll notice this bulge. She doesn't like this very much, but if you lift the tail, you'll notice this bulge right by the slit, and if it is a half circle, small bulge, that means it's a female. That indicates one hemipenal bulge, where with males, you'll see two thin vertical side-by-side bulges, and that means there's two hemipenal bulges, and that means it is a male. Another cool fact about bearded dragons, they are from Australia. So they're from somewhere where it's very hot. So with our enclosures that we have for Nye, we keep it very warm. We have a heat lamp, and then next to that we have what we call a UVB light. So this helps provide vitamin D3. This is something that we would get from the sunlight. So in captivity, they're not able to get natural sunlight, so we use the UVB, so they help get D3, and this helps them get calcium. Without enough calcium, they can develop what's called MBD. This is metallic bone disease, and this can be debilitating towards them because it makes their bones deform. It can make them very ill. So we want to make sure that they have this lighting to help absorb that calcium. They are also, as far as lifespan, they live about 10-15 years, can be more or less depending on husbandry. Some kind of cool facts about them, some of their traits, is that when they are seeing another bearded dragon or another animal, if you see them bobbing their head up and down, this means that they are showing dominance. And that if you see them do kind of like a funny wave symbol they do with their hands, this means they are showing submission to the other predator or bearded dragon. Another really cool thing about them is that if they feel threatened by another predator or very, very stressed out, they have this flap of skin underneath their chin that they can flare out, and it can turn completely black, and they will make a hissing noise, and this lets predators know to, hey, stay away, don't come near me. Or if you're handling them, they're very stressed out, this kind of means, hey, put me back, I'm not comfortable with this. Not to get this confused with if you see them kind of basking, sitting on their rock, and they've got their mouth open, they're just sitting there calmly. This actually means that they are regulating temperature. They are exothermal. This means that they regulate temperature outside their body, so they are unable to sweat. So when you see them with their mouth open, gaping open, it's not necessarily that they feel threatened or that they're trying to bite you. It could be that you're just regulating temperature. They could be too hot, and they're just trying to make sure that they're not getting overheated. Another cool thing about bearded dragons is that when it does get too cold, they can go through a brumation stage. So in the wild, during the winter, fall seasons, they will their body shuts down a little bit to conserve energy. It's very similar to hibernation with other animals. So you won't see them eating as much, you won't see them drinking as much, they'll kind of be sleeping more during the day. And then during the summer seasons or spring seasons when it's getting warmer outside, they'll perk more up, they'll be active, and they'll act completely fine. So not all bearded dragons do this in captivity, but if some do, it's not something to really worry about. It's very normal and natural for them. Another thing, like other bearded dragons and other reptiles, is that they will shed. When they're babies, you'll notice they shed a lot. And this is because they're growing, so it helps promote growth and it helps get rid of all those dead skin cells. And then when they get older, once they hit maturity, they only shed a couple times a year. And they will do this by themselves. You'll notice them rubbing on rocks, kind of rubbing around their terrarium to try to get that off. You never want to pull it. If you pull it, it can be very painful for them. But if you do see them struggling and it's not coming off, you can help them out by misting them, and this helps it get moist so they're able to rub it off more comfortably. Or you can put them in a little bath, whether it's a little tub or your sink. Let them soak for a couple minutes, take them out, and that way it's nice and moist and they're able to get it off by themselves. So I have some shed here from Nye. So this is what the shed looks like. It's all of her dead skin, and it isn't painful when she rubs it off. It's only painful if you peel it off. So always make sure you let them do it by themselves. Another interesting thing about bearded dragons is that they do not, when they go to the bathroom, they don't pee. Very, very weird. But you'll notice this little white block that comes out when they go to the bathroom that's connected to their poop, and that is actually called urates, and that is their pee. That is just a little, it looks like a little square white block. Another thing about bearded dragons is that they are very docile. They're very good pets. Same with the next creature I'm going to be showing you guys. But when they're babies, you want to make sure you take them out a lot and you get them comfortable with you, because if you just keep them locked up in a cage, they can get aggressive and mean. So we like to take Nye out a lot, and we also have another bearded dragon named Bindi, and so we take them out a lot for presentations throughout the center, and so they're very, very friendly. Another cool thing about them, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but Nye will lick things. This kind of indicates she's tasting it, but she's also getting used to her senses. So they have this thing called a Jacobson's organ that's connected to their nasal cavity, and this lets them kind of know where they're at and their senses and everything. So they're able to kind of smell and use this to know that everything's okay in their surroundings. It kind of helps them guide where they go. So we are going to move on to our next animal. That is it for Nye. So I'm going to be moving Nye over. Oh, and another quick thing about Nye is that she is an omnivore. I almost forgot to say what she eats. Do you know what this means? So there's herbivore, omnivore, and carnivore. Herbivore means they eat plants. Omnivore means they eat plants and meat, and carnivore is meat. So they actually are omnivores. So she has a variety of diet. She has crickets, roaches, worms. She'll do salads as well, collard greens, mustard greens, berry, squash, you name it. So she has a very wide variety of diet. All right, with that being said, we're going to move on to our next animal. So I have for you guys Luis. Luis is named after Luis Alvarez, the scientist. Really cool thing about leopard geckos that they're different from bearded dragon is they're nocturnal. So nocturnal means they are more awake at night, more active, where during the day they're going to be kind of more hiding out and sleeping. With leopard geckos, you have to be very careful with them, because if you stress them out or if their predator's coming towards them, they can drop their tail. When they drop their tail, their tail will still wiggle around, and this allows the predator to kind of get distracted while they escape. And then they are left without a tail. But thankfully, they can grow a tail back. It does take a couple months. It's a very slow process, but they can grow it back. You just have to make sure that if you have one as a pet and it does drop, that you feed it very well and make sure it's drinking, make sure it's very healthy to kind of help the process of it growing back. As tail, it is very thick. It's because it is a fat storage. So if they do drop their tail, they are losing a lot of energy, a lot of conserved fat. So that is something to kind of be aware of, like I said, to kind of make sure they're eating a lot if they do drop their tail. Another cool thing about leopard geckos compared to other geckos is that they do have eyelids. So most geckos don't have eyelids, but Louis does, and they are movable. And a really cool thing is they actually have pretty good eyesight. So they actually have eyesight that's comparable to a cat, which is very, very interesting. As far as their lifespan, they live up to about 15-20 years, so they can live a long time. They are long-term pets. And they require a heat lamp as well. They have to keep it very warm, not as warm as bearded dragons, but they don't necessarily need a UVB light. They still do need calcium, so if they don't have a UVB light, you can give them calcium by going to pet stores. They do have calcium powders, and you're able to sprinkle it on top of their food, and that way when they ingest the food, they're still getting that amount of calcium. You don't have to worry about them getting sick. As far as what leopard geckos eat, they do eat crickets, they do eat worms. They're mainly insectivores, love insects, but they're also very docile, like bearded dragons. If you take them out a lot when they're babies and get them used to you, they end up being great pets. They're really easy to take care of, so I do highly recommend them. And Louie's doing great. He's just chilling on me right now. But yeah, that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing our 2 creatures. We are still closed to the public, unfortunately, but we will be having more Facebook Live videos next week, talking more about our other creatures and some DIY lessons, so definitely tune in. And if you guys are wanting to donate, which would be extremely helpful, we do have a link tab on our website that I highly recommend going to and donating if you can. Thank you so much, guys.